Hello again, everyone. Today we're going to be making stew. We have extra pumpkin that we wanted to use up before. We made puree, but we have extras that we want to use up before they go bad. It was freezing out in the garage and that could end up going bad. So Danielle and I are going to make stew today. This is actually her mom's recipe that we really enjoy. It has pumpkin, lamb, and pork in it. So it's nice because we get to use up the extra pumpkin. It's very filling and it's like a comfort food. It's very nice and enjoyable.
We are having family come over for dinner tonight, so we are making a big quantity of it, but you can cut the quantity in half.
On the flip side, what's nice is if you do want to make a lot, even if you're not eating it all right away, it actually tastes better the longer you leave it. And it also freezes well. So if you wanted to freeze a bunch of this to prepare and freeze for a later time, it's nice to be able to prepare in advance. And even if you just wanted to eat it as leftovers for the next day or two, it's very nice tasting the next day.
And most Mediterranean stews are served with rice next to them. So we're gonna get started on the meat and the pumpkin first, and later we're gonna get started on the rice. Now, before we start frying our pork and our lamb meat, we're gonna fry an onion. And to do so, we saved some of the fat that we trimmed from the meat, from both. And we're gonna render this down in the pot and then start dicing the onion.
So Danielle just finished rendering down the fat. You can see how much we got in there. So we're just going to saute the onions in that. Well, that smells good already.
This is the fat from the lamb and the pork.
We'll turn the heat down a little bit. We don't want these to burn. Okay, now the onions are all softened up nicely. What we're going to do is we're going to add in the meat. Danielle has prepared 2 pounds of pork and 1 pound of lamb. So we're just going to add that right into here. We're going to let that saute and simmer in here. And we'll mix it up right now. But then once it's mixed up, we'll add the lid just to let the steam help cook everything down. And we'll have it on a bit of a lower heat because we don't want to burn everything. We want to make sure that it's all cooked thoroughly. We'll add the garlic now as well. And then we'll just use a knife to scrape off the excess. Okay. All right, again, we'll just mix this up a little bit. And then we'll put the lid back on because this steam will help cook everything down instead of letting it burn. And right now the oven has 10 heat increments. We're at 4.5, 5. So we may raise it up just a little bit, but medium heat is pretty good for this. We're knocking every little bit of onion off because it's precious.
The meat has been cooking at a medium heat. We haven't added water yet, but I'll show you how much water is coming out of it. This can of tomato paste is 156 milliliters. It's the small can. And we're gonna be using it all because we're doing 3 pounds of meat and 3 pounds of pumpkin. Now the main spice that we'll be using in the stew is Arabic 7-spice blend. This is a spice that's very common in most Mediterranean dishes and especially stews. It has cumin, black pepper, paprika, coriander, cloves, cinnamon, and cardamom. This will be the main spice, so I'll put 1 tablespoon of this. We're also going to use Aleppo pepper. Aleppo pepper is not spicy, but it adds brightness to the dish that goes really well with it. We're going to use 2 teaspoons of that. We're going to use 2 bay leaves and 2 teaspoons of black pepper and 2 teaspoons of salt. Now that we sauteed the spices, you can see that there is no more liquid left in the pot. We're going to add the boiling water and let it simmer. Mom is really good at cooking lamb. It always turns out very soft when she cooks it. And one of the things that she does is she lets it come to a boil on a high heat, and then she lowers the heat, covers it, and lets it simmer. And that's what we'll be doing here. Once this comes to a boil, I'll put the lid on and reduce the heat and let it simmer. So we did not need to add any water to this because they were simmering on low heat. The water did not evaporate by much. And I'm happy with how it looks. Now I'm gonna add the pumpkin. Now that the pumpkin is in, I'm gonna raise the heat and let it boil. Then again, I'm gonna lower the heat and let it simmer.
Don't lose count. Don't lose count. Don't lose count. I've never seen someone look so happy and smiling when scooping rice.
I've already rinsed 3.5 cups of basmati rice. And I'm gonna get started on frying the vermicelli noodles. This is something that's very common in Middle Eastern rice. We usually add vermicelli, but if you add it without toasting it or frying it, it will get dissolved in water. That's why we first, before adding the rice, we fry this in some oil, and I'll be using coconut oil today.
So Danielle put 1 cup of the vermicelli in here. That's for 3.5 cups of rice. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna stir it around to make sure it doesn't burn. And then it's gonna turn a bit of a reddish brown color, and that's when we're gonna take it off. So right here, it's darkened down to a dark brownish red. It doesn't show up the best on the camera, but it's a dark reddish brown at this point, so it's done. You really should keep an eye on it though, because it doesn't look like it's changing color or much is happening for a long time. And then out of nowhere, it just starts darkening, and it darkens really fast. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on this. So now that the vermicelli has been darkened and toasted, we're gonna add the rice. We have the basmati rice here.
Each cup of basmati rice takes between 1 to 2 cups of water. How much water you add depends on the texture of rice you want. But because we'll have this served next to a stew, we're gonna do 1.5 cups of water to each cup of rice. We're also adding 2 teaspoons of salt. This way the rice will not be dry, it will be light and fluffy, and it still has room to absorb the stew. We just finished cooking them. Our guests are just about to arrive, which is a perfect timing. We're gonna give the rice and the pumpkin a taste test and see if there's anything we need to adjust.
So you can see that the pumpkin though is very nice and soft. And when it's left over, it kind of softens more. It's almost like a puree that goes throughout the whole thing. Not completely, but it's very nice and soft. And I really enjoy having that with the stew. Yeah, it tastes like identical to before, and I like it like that. So that's nice with the rice. Usually it's nice because you can have a lot of broth with this too to soak up in the rice. We're going to enjoy the food now with our guests here. We hope that you maybe can give this a try, and we hope that you can enjoy. Until next time, take care.